Before dawn, the river holds its breath. Mist drapes the water like unspoken grief, and the bridge listens. Wood remembers weight. Planks recall bare feet, iron shoes, the careful step of men who knew the cost of noise. Somewhere a bell does not ring, and that absence feels deliberate. I am the bridge at the bend where rice fields thin into gravel. I was raised to shorten distance, not to judge it. Yet centuries press into my grain. I learned early that history prefers crossings. It teaches people to arrive changed, even when they believe they are only passing through. The first to teach me were farmers, carrying mourning on their shoulders. Then came messengers with breathless urgency. After them, men with swords learned to pause mid-step, feeling the tremor beneath their sandals, as if the earth might speak back. I held them all without asking names. Feudal Japan did not announce itself with banners here. It arrived quietly, in habits. A bow held longer than necessary. A debt remembered beyond harvest. Authority learned to sound like weather, inevitable, impersonal, blamed on no one. From my rail, I watched obligation harden into custom. The samurai came as caretakers of order, or so they told themselves. Their armor sang softly, not in battle, but in waiting. They stood where I narrowed, deciding who crossed and who turned back. Faces stayed still. Inside them, storms learned to behave. One winter, a boy crossed alone. He carried a lacquered box, too light to matter and too heavy to drop. His father had crossed before him and never returned. The boy did not cry. He walked as if grief were a rule he had memorized and followed. When spring returned, so did rumors, floating like petals. Lords shifted allegiance without moving their houses. Fields changed owners without changing color. I heard vows whispered into sleeves, promises that weighed less than iron and cut deeper when they failed. If you need to pause here, let the water speak. It remembers without words, and it will keep remembering long after footsteps fade. Silence is not empty. It is crowded with choices that seemed small when they were made. Time folded itself into me. Nails rusted, were replaced. Names were lost, replaced by titles. The code men spoke of was never written on my boards, yet I felt it each time a man hesitated, measuring honor against hunger, loyalty against a child's face. Tonight the mist returns, thicker than before. Somewhere upriver, decisions are being made that will seek a crossing by morning. I will hold, as I always have, but the river is restless, and even wood can sense when the current is about to change. Morning teaches patience by refusing to arrive all at once. Light thins the mist strand by strand, and the river loosens its grip on night. I feel the first footfall before I see it. Weight carries intention. Today, intention is cautious. They come in pairs at first, a retainer with eyes trained on the ground, a man with a family name heavy enough to bend his spine, though he pretends it does not. Their swords are wrapped, not peace, just delay. Even wrapped steel remembers what it is for. Beyond me, the road forks toward hills owned by 3 houses who all claim the same ancestor. Blood, when argued over long enough, becomes land. Land, when guarded long enough, becomes law. I have learned that disputes do not need noise to deepen. The men stop midway. Courtesy requires it. They bow, and I feel the tension shift like a held breath changing hands. A messenger passes between them, carrying words that will not be repeated exactly. Words never survive travel unchanged. That is their quiet violence. I remember when these crossings were decided by elders whose hands shook from age, not fear. Now the hands are steady, trained. Decisions are cleaner, consequences are not. Somewhere, a granary door will stay closed tonight, and a household will learn the cost of alignment. A woman crosses at noon with a basket and no escort. Her eyes meet the river, not me. She knows where she stands without needing permission. The men make space. Respect moves faster when it does not announce itself. If you feel the pull to linger here, do it gently. Let the cadence slow. Reflection is not retreat. It is how truth avoids being trampled. Some understand this, many do not. By afternoon, banners appear, not unfurled, just present, colors folded in on themselves like thoughts not yet spoken. A lord pauses at my center and listens as if expecting instruction from grain and nail. He hears only his own resolve and mistakes it for fate. The code they follow pretends to be eternal. In practice, it is adjusted daily. Mercy is praised when it costs nothing. Severity is admired when it looks like strength. I hold their feet while their hearts negotiate. At dusk, a youth practices a bow near my rail. He misses, retrieves the arrow, misses again. No one corrects him. Learning here is private. Failure stays between the river and the hands that tremble. Night returns without apology. Lanterns blink on along the road, each a small claim against darkness. I brace myself. When the lamps multiply, crossings become urgent. The water shifts its tone, and I sense what approaches, not an end, but a narrowing. Rain arrives without urgency, as if it has all the time I do not. It darkens my boards and quiets the road. Footsteps soften, decisions do not. Water teaches men to move carefully while their thoughts rush ahead unchecked. Under the rain, armor dulls and faces loosen. Voices drop. I hear confessions not meant for me, doubts about a lord's promise, a son's readiness, a vow made too young to understand its reach. Wet wood keeps secrets better than dry. A patrol crosses at first light. Their leader counts steps, not men. He trusts numbers more than loyalty. Behind him, one retainer walks slightly off rhythm. His left sandal slips. He recovers, but the moment stays with him, a private omen he will misread later. The river swells and presses against my posts. I answer by holding. Holding is not passive. It is a daily argument with gravity. I think of households arguing the same way, each insisting the other yield first, each calling it honor. By mid-morning, the rain thins to threads. A monk passes, robes darkened, bowl empty. He pauses at my center and sets the bowl down anyway. Offering does not require fullness. He leaves with lighter steps than he arrived. Messages change hands without ceremony. Wax seals melt in warm palms. News travels faster than trust and slower than fear. Somewhere uphill, a gate closes early. Somewhere downhill, a door remains open too long. I feel the imbalance like a knot. I remember a season when steel was scarce and words did the cutting. That season did not last. Scarcity shifts, but the appetite does not. Men learn which tool answers quickest, and they grow impatient with the rest. A youth returns at dusk, older than yesterday. He carries a blade wrapped in cloth and stops before stepping on. He looks at the river as if it might advise him. It does not. Rivers refuse counsel. They only show what continues. Night collects the day's leftovers. Lanterns reflect and double, making paths seem crowded. From my rail, the road looks honest, and the water looks deep. Appearances work hardest when truth is tired. As the current strengthens, it hums against my frame, testing, rehearsing. I hold, and the holding costs me a little more each time. Upstream, something heavy is learning to move. It will want a crossing soon, and it will not ask. Dawn breaks unevenly, catching on the hills and leaving the low ground undecided. I feel a new kind of weight today, not heavier, just resolved. Feet that arrive already knowing where they will stop carry themselves differently. A procession forms without music, no drums, no horns, just spacing, the discipline of distance. Men stand where they are told, and where they are told pretends to be choice. Their faces hold a calm learned too late to be innocent. At my center, a letter is read silently. Lips move once, then still. The reader folds the paper carefully, as if neatness might soften its meaning. He looks up at no one and steps forward anyway. Authority has learned to travel light. The river runs lower now, revealing stones it hid all summer. They look harmless until you step wrong. I watch sandals test edges, retreat, try again. Progress here is a series of almosts. That is how lives change, by inches no one records. A pair of brothers argue in whispers near my rail. They share a face and nothing else. One believes delay is wisdom. The other believes delay is betrayal. Their hands mirror each other, tightening, loosening, as if bound by a habit neither remembers choosing. I remember when brothers crossed laughing, competing to see who could reach the far bank first. Laughter learned to leave early. Competition stayed and grew sharper. Memory is selective, but wood is not. I keep what I am given. By midday, heat settles and patience thins. A lord arrives late on purpose. Timing is power when everyone agrees to wait. He pauses where the river sounds loudest, measuring how much of himself must be seen. He shows just enough. Orders are not shouted. They are placed gently, like bowls set before the hungry. Each man takes what is nearest and calls it duty. The road absorbs them, and the fields watch without comment. Crops learn endurance before people do. Toward evening, a child runs across, chasing a kite made of scraps. No one stops him. The string sings, thin and brave, until it snaps. The kite drifts downriver, free in a way none of them will be tonight. As light fades, the air tightens. The water pulls with a steadier insistence, rehearsing its strength. I brace again, feeling the strain travel through me. Somewhere beyond sight, resolve is hardening into action, and it is already looking for a way across. Night settles without ceremony, as if it has done this too many times to care. The river darkens into a single moving thought. I feel the cold first, then the quiet that follows when voices decide they have said enough. They cross in smaller groups now, not fewer men, just fewer words. Faces turn inward. A man adjusts his grip on a wrapped hilt and releases it again, practicing restraint the way others practice cuts. Habit can look like virtue when observed from a distance. A torch slips and hisses out at my edge. No one laughs. Another flame replaces it immediately, brighter for the loss. Light here is a language of replacement. What goes out is not mourned if it can be restored quickly. I carry the memory of a pledge made once at this hour. 2 men stood where the boards meet and swore to keep a border quiet. They succeeded for a season. Then a harvest failed, and quiet learned to speak differently. Promises age faster than wood. The river rises just enough to remind everyone it can. Posts creak. I answer by holding tighter, and the answer costs me. Holding always does. Men sense this and mistake it for consent. A runner arrives breathless, stops, and bows too deeply. The message he brings is short and heavy. It is received with nods that look like agreement and feel like surrender. Plans adjust themselves around it without asking permission. If there is a moment to pause, it is here, in the thick of restraint. Let the silence widen. The weight of what is not done can be heavier than action. Many will never learn the difference. An old retainer lingers after the others pass. He touches the rail as if to steady himself, then withdraws his hand, embarrassed. He has seen enough crossings to know when one changes the rules. His eyes follow the current, not the road. Beyond me, a camp settles into its version of rest. Armor is loosened but not removed. Sleep is negotiated, taken in turns. Dreams learn to stay close to waking, ready to retreat at the smallest sound. Before dawn returns, the river pulls harder, testing again. I feel the strain spread and settle. Whatever is coming has chosen its hour. It is not loud yet. It does not need to be. The hour before morning carries a fragile balance. Not silence, expectation. The river moves with a steadiness that feels earned, as if it has accepted its role without approval. I hold, aware that holding is nearly finished becoming something else. They arrive without ceremony, as all decisive things do. No banners now, no spacing practiced for display. Just men shaped by repetition, stepping where others have stepped, trusting the wood because it has not failed them yet. A command is given softly. It does not need volume. Every man hears it because he has already agreed to obey. Agreement is the strongest sound I know. It settles into grain and nail, heavier than iron. Some cross without looking down. Others look too long. One man pauses and presses his forehead briefly to the rail, a gesture small enough to deny later. He moves on lighter, as if having paid a private toll. The river rises another finger's width, not enough to stop anyone, enough to remember. Water curls around my posts and pulls, patient. It has waited longer than any lord alive and knows how endings pretend to be transitions. Beyond me, the road absorbs them all. Fields remain still. Houses keep their doors closed. Somewhere, a bell rings late as if reconsidering. Sound travels poorly at this hour, but consequences do not. I think of the boy with the lacquered box, of the woman with the basket, of brothers who never agreed on the meaning of delay. They are not here now. They are everywhere else, bearing what was decided while others crossed. If there is a second place to rest the mind, it is in this knowledge. History does not move forward. It spreads. It seeps into walls, into habits, into the way children learn where not to stand. Morning finally arrives and pretends nothing happened. Light smooths the road. Birds test the air. The river keeps moving, unconcerned with names or outcomes. I remain, altered in ways no one will measure. When the next footstep comes, and it will, I will hold again. Not because I agree, not because I forget, but because crossings are how time chooses to pass. And the river, patient as ever, is already listening.